Ritual monsters have constantly evolved in Yu-Gi-Oh! They started off as gimmick non-effect monsters that you needed a monster-specific spell to summon them with, using tributes from your hand or field. Then they got effects regularly. After that, different monsters could be summoned with the same cards with the end-of-world monsters. And finally, the Gishki and Cyber Angels established new ways of summoning ritual monsters with archetype-specific spells, revolutionizing the way you could ritual summon and setting the stage for future rituals. With rituals becoming more and more viable, it makes those original ritual monsters look even more out of place and inefficient, except Relinquished, who was pretty good in his day. So we want to take a look at the weirdest of those classic ritual monsters, which is essentially us doing a critique of older Yu-Gi-Oh! Card designs again, as with our previous lists on the weirdest in Yu-Gi-Oh! Old ritual monsters were essentially glorified beatsticks that were implied to be so powerful in the lore, they needed to be in ritual form. So let's see if these monsters live up to the legacy of Blackluster Soldier and Pals. Spoiler, they don't. We'll also be looking at anything else that strikes us as weird about these monsters, like their ritual spell cards or appearances in the anime if possible. And of course, it wouldn't be a good old Yu-Gi-Oh! Card artwork review if I didn't have my co-hosts, like Judgment Meter.
Hey everybody!
Aren't you normally the dark magician girl in these things?
She's at the cleaners. I forgot to pick her up and now it's after hours.
Also joining me is NegetiveX.
Hey everybody, I'm still here.
Now, let's summon the top 10 weirdest Yu-Gi-Oh! Ritual monsters. Number 10, Zera the Mant. This card is on the list mostly because of the anime. Design-wise, I have nothing critical about it. He's big, intimidating, and is even involved in an extensive monster backstory.
Oh look, it's a little like Skull Knight. He's like a little demon made of bones. He reminds me of Digimon. Skull Greymon, I believe it was named.
The colors are giving me serious obelisk blue vibes.
I'm also really happy that this guy actually has a cape. He has a sense of clothing. He has a sense of style. Why did capes go out of style?
Beyond his appearance though, the anime decided to make him seem like this legendary monster, where Yugi had this throwaway line saying, "Zera, there's only 3 of those cards in the entire world."
Oh really? That seems like a poor business model. Well, I guess technically speaking, Wu-Tang Clan released that album where there's only 1 copy of it.
The issue with saying he's that rare is you generally have to have build-up, like when we were told about the Blue Eyes White Dragon or the Egyptian gods. I would understand if Zera had some broken ability when he came out onto the field, but his gimmick was simply being a ritual monster. His stats were high, but nothing we hadn't seen at this point in the series. He's even outclassed by Trihorn Dragon and had no synergy with Keith's machine deck. Though, maybe I should give the writers credit. In the first trip to the virtual world, Joey wants to buy a rare card at a shop and it ended up being Zera, so that could have been our hint. The other gripe I have with this card is its translated name. It's still Zera in Japanese, but it's a full stop there. No the Mant.
What's a mant?
Exactly. I don't think it means anything, so I don't know where they got that from. Maybe the Mant is what's going on in its ritual spell. Is anything in here a Mant?
And the Zera ritual is just a man sitting angrily in a chair. I guess technically he probably has bones, so that's where those come from.
I don't think any of that is a Mant. Also, this guy is Warrior of Zera, and he has a very big backstory that we don't have time to go into now, but I covered it in another video. Trust me, this guy goes through a lot more interesting things than the big old blue bone guy over there. Number 9, Crab Turtle. Well, the name explains exactly what it is, nice and straightforward. And apparently, mixing a turtle with a crab gives it a much bigger power boost than when it's combined with a tiger for some reason. Apex Predator my ass.
Why would they do that to a poor turtle?
Why aren't you concerned about what also happened to the crab?
Yeah, I don't like crabs so much. Also, turtle!
Okay, there's nothing turtle about that. That's all crab plus robot. Minus an eye. It only has 1 eye.
Where's his other eye? Shouldn't he have at least 4 if he's 2? 2 animals?
Don't you see it? 2 plus 2 equals 1. It's basic mathematicals, Judgment Meter.
I did not take that day in class.
I think its back legs are kind of useless. Like, I get the pincers, I get the legs it's walking on, I get its stomach legs to help it stand up. But like, what are those back legs doing? Just hanging out? He needs to trade those 4 eggs for an extra eye so we can get some depth perception.
The most interesting thing about this monster to me is it has 2550 attack points, just putting it over some of the strongest monsters in the game at the time solely based on attack points, like Dark Magician. Looking at this point in the game's life, with Crab Turtle being a common card in Magic Ruler, the third TCG set, kids that chose the Yugi starter deck over Kaiba could brag to their friends, "Nah, my strongest monster is this newly released Crab Turtle. He's kind of a big deal. Look at this tank. How would you even defend yourself against him?"
I would run away.
You summon this monster with the card Turtle Oath, and I can't really tell what's going on here. What's the oath being made? What does this artwork have to do with it? Where's the Crab Turtle in all of this?
They need to stop naming things for people who worked for the company. This card was probably named for a guy named, like, I don't know, Turtle Jimmy, and his nickname was Oath for some reason. I don't know. His oath was that he'd always refill the coffee, and he did. Here's your card.
Number 8, Fortress Whale. This one is here mostly because of the anime again. Mako used it in his duel against Joey, advertising it as his most powerful monster. When he loses to Joey, he gives him his rarest card as the Battle City rules state, being a legendary fisherman, but he throws in Fortress Whale since honorable battle or something like that. However, Mako clearly does not hand Joey the ritual spell card needed to summon Fortress Whale, and that has bothered me ever since I saw this episode on Kids WB in 2003. How's Joey gonna summon the whale without the ritual card? Did he think to ask for it? Was Mako just giving this to Joey as a trophy? Was he actually trying to troll Joey? Here's my strongest card, and you can't summon it. That doesn't even benefit Mako in any way if he wanted to do that, because the ritual spell card is useless without the monster. So that's my main beef that this monster is involved with. As for the monster itself, it's exactly as advertised. It's a fortress on top of a whale.
Is it an actual whale?
Indeed, it is a whale.
No, that one's scary. That's actually a narwhal. That's not really a whale. Excuse me.
He's whatever he wants to be. Also, I like his teeth. Nicest monster card smile 3 years in a row. Whitening toothpaste.
When you say very nice, do you mean nicely rendered or that they're friendly?
For how random of a ritual card this was, someone at Konami liked it enough to give it a non-ritual retrain with a quick effect and viability. I appreciate that, since the original design was good, it just didn't work with any decks.
Listen, I love whales. Wanna know what makes whales cooler? Guns. I feel like I'm like Dr. Evil right now. Sharks. Sharks with freaking lasers on their head. Whales. Whales with an artillery array. Bam. Perfect. This'll show you for polluting in my ocean. Boom.
Number 7, Chakra.
Chakra. Like in Avatar The Last Airbender, what Aang has to clear. This doesn't remind me of Avatar The Last Airbender. Look, he reminds me more of a demon that would visit me while I sleep. And a pogo stick.
It also has one eye. Is there a theme here?
This is pretty normal Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster fare for the time. He's simply an indescript monster with some random blades, creepy hands, and the aforementioned singular eye. What really lands Chakra on this list is its ritual spell card. In the card Resurrection of Chakra, it shows a much more different character than the monster on the Chakra card.
So is that Chakra? It looks like she's getting all covered by hair or something. Are they taking her away? Is it stopping her from coming back to life? Was Chakra trapped into the form of a beautiful lady with long hair? And only when a handsome prince kisses her, he'll turn back into the giant pogo stick of doom?
I just assumed that she was a sacrifice needed to summon Chakra in the Chakra storyline. That storyline being, we're resurrecting Chakra. Hey guys, I'm here. Who's performing this ritual though? Are there Chakra worshippers off to the side of her? Or is this woman just wishing to turn into a one-eyed demon thing with the help of these magical vines?
Why? Why would you wish that? Why? Why?
Maybe it's her demon pal. Maybe they're friends.
What do they do together?
They are going clubbing, and she's getting in the mood to vibe.
The woman looks like she was vibing from the start.
I like her. She looks pretty, but it also looks like that green should not be there.
Well, the vines were there, but the clothing, not so much.
Oh, the green was there, the shirt was not. I knew something didn't seem right. No shirt. We don't need shirts. Boobs out.
Number 6, Javelin Beetle. This guy's on the list for possibly the pettiest reason. His name builds him up to be slightly different than what we get.
He's like a man, and that doesn't even look like a javelin. It's just twice of his mouth. Just use your mouth, bro.
I don't know. He's got beetle attributes and a pointed weapon. That's basically what the name advertises.
I expected a beetle with like a lance that would charge at you. No, it's like a beetleish man carrying a egg whisk. Just like he's gonna cook me some food. But you know, I guess it's fair. Some monsters generally should be able to go out and make some food.
But do you know the most egregious thing about this beetle? His defense points are 2550, and that's unacceptable. You know who else has 2550 defense points? No one. Seriously, he's the only monster with that defense value. Gotta have the perfect counter for that crab turtle.
From my vantage point, it looks like he's pointing that javelin in a weird place. But for him, maybe that's a good place.
There's nothing wrong with the weapon placement. Moving on.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's a girl beetle.
I said moving on. Number 5, Hungry Burger. This was the card that everyone liked to bring up back in the day when looking at the most absurd card designs. It's a burger, but with teeth, and he can bite you, and he's from Japan apparently.
It eats you if you try to eat it.
If the burger eats you, where do you go? He has no stomach or body behind him, so is it just the world's most ironic meat grinder and you come out in small bits behind him?
Aren't these supposed to be like ancient Egyptian monsters and demons and things like that? Does this imply that hamburgers are ancient Egyptian demons?
Well, those were only some of them. The rest were made by Pegasus, or to break the illusion, Kazuki Takahashi, or sometimes just an employee at Konami.
Do you think they came up with this card when the guy was at lunch? Just like, what do I need? I need to come up with 2 card ideas before I go back to the office. Wait a second. Burger. Napkin Man. This'll do.
Sadly, Napkin Man was cut to put Dark Zebra in the set. Despite how much people goof on this card, it doesn't feel that weird design-wise after getting all the other sentient food cards over the years. Yeah, I mean, look at Doom Donuts and Carrot Weight Champion. And is a demon burger really that strange in a world where living tomatoes based on prison inmates exist? In fact, the ritual spell card to summon this burger makes sense. It's hamburger recipe, showing a chef making a burger, giving us a good A to B storyline on how this burger was created. It's more than just random ancient items summoned boss monster that we get from other rituals. Unfortunately, the chef never got his own monster card. I would have loved to see another demon chef join the ranks of the Bistro Butcher.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. You could use a hamburger to make a chef. Well, I guess it makes sense that a chef would make a hamburger. Doesn't make sense that this hamburger would be alive and try to eat you back? No. But you know, Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't care.
I just assumed because it's a devil chef, it turns into a devil burger. You could have some vague explanation that it's infused with demon magic from the netherworld or something like that.
Haha, Hell's Kitchen, but for real.
Honestly, the weirdest thing to me about this monster has always been that it's a warrior type. Warriors at this point in the series were just guys that fought with their bare hands or characters with swords, and I cannot imagine this thing wielding a sword. Usually when they add sharp teeth to things in Yu-Gi-Oh, they end up being a fiend type, so that's my main grievance with this food. Oh, maybe the burger meat is made of the ground up warriors that the chef defeated, so with the patty being mostly warrior remains, that led to the typing.
You know, I don't think it looks like a real hamburger. I think it looks more like a Boca burger, which for all you people who don't know is a veggie burger.
Why Boca brand specifically? Why not just call it a veggie burger?
Because Boca burger is trademark.
The ultimate irony, the carnivorous veggie burger. Number 4, Dokuro Rider. This guy has the distinction of having the lowest attack of all non-effect ritual monsters, so good job. His defense isn't even that beefy, so he can't even find a way to outclass Hungry Burger or Performance of Sword. His appearance at least makes him seem legendary. I feel like he's referencing something, but I can't quite tell what. Or maybe a zombie dude riding a motorcycle is just a naturally cool design.
Look, it's Skeletor!
Oh my god, it's Ghost Rider, but angsty.
Isn't Ghost Rider already angsty?
Yeah, but this guy does it more. First of all, he has horns. Second of all, he's an Aang wannabe. Look at that arrow on his head. Third of all, he has a motorcycle that's a bird. That's so much more angsty than Ghost Rider. He's like, ooh man, I got my Harley. Well, I have my custom bike that looks like a vulture eating things. And the vulture has teeth for some reason. Also, I'm just gonna say a tire with spikes on it, I don't think that's gonna get you very far. You're gonna be tearing up the asphalt and my tax dollars are gonna have to fix that. God. Way to be selfish, Dokuro Rider.
Isn't Doku someone from Star Wars?
No, you're thinking of Count Dokuro Rider.
I think he's cool. I would take a motorcycle ride with this stranger.
Please don't, he's a dangerous zombie.
But But maybe he's going to... Where can he go? Maybe he's going to the mall.
No, Judgment Meter, don't write off with him!
Bye. See you later.
Well, anyway, in his spell card Revival of Dokuro Rider, we see he's, slightly more off in the distance. I guess he doesn't really have a presumed backstory either.
It's just the guy behind lightning. It's like, why is this a summoning thing? He just needs to drive away from the lightning. The only thing he does is forget the flag.
Maybe if he brought that flag with him, he would be strong enough to outclass Hungry Burger. Number 3, Fiend's Mirror. So for most of the early ritual monsters, I at least see the designs of the monsters as being somewhat boss-like, giving us an aesthetic reason to play them. Even Hungry Burger has some payoff. But this card, it's, well, just an item you could find in real life.
Oh my god, it's a mirror. It's like it's just a mirror! Like with a fancy handle. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the lamest Yu-Gi-Oh card of all? It's Fiend's Mirror. Because what the hell is that?
I can't even say it's the best mirror in Yu-Gi-Oh! When we did a list on the characters that fight with mirrors, we dedicated an entire entry to Yu-Gi-Oh! Mirrors on that list. So between Mirror Wall, Mirror Resonator, Reflect Bounder, and even Fiend Reflection, it's outclassed in both design and effect. You summon this mirror with Beastly Mirror Ritual, where we see, it was an even more generic mirror in the past.
So basically, the difference between Fiend's Mirror and Beastly Mirror Ritual is you just take the mirror and then the two hands turns into the handle.
How would this thing even attack you?
Oh, you know what I think it does? I think when you look inside, it sucks you in and then it turns you into that music video that makes you a drawing.
You mean Take On Me?
Yeah, it turns you into Take On Me.
But everyone loves that music video. That just sounds like a wonderful time.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad. Maybe it's not so scary after all.
Number 2, Skull Guardian.
And I have to say, a lot of these ritual monsters have blade arms, which I'm digging. I don't see a lot of skull here. Honestly, it looks like he's just wearing a beetle's clothing, and his forearms are made of blades. He's like a B-grade Baraka.
Maybe he's the guardian of the skull, rather than being a guardian who is a skull. It's like how Skull Knight wears skull armor, despite just being a fleshy green guy. Though the monster is not the main reason Skull Guardian is on the list. It's because it has such a stark contrast with its ritual spell card, Novox's Prayer. I assume the woman on the card is Novox, but there's nothing else I can assume about her relation to Skull Guardian.
What? How did she become that man? What's her prayer? Oh, I pray that I can get my forearms chopped off and replaced by swords, and I guess armor I'll never be able to take off because, you know, I no longer have hands.
Maybe she wished for Skull Guardian?
Why? Why would you wish that? Why? Why?
Ooh, it's Little Red Riding Hood.
She's not. I don't see any basket of goodies.
Bummer. No more goodies.
Usually, the ritual imagery is pretty general in its relation to the monster, but in this case, I feel like Novox got lost when looking for what card to be on, like she was supposed to be on a different spell card. The Japanese card name is Law's Prayer, and that just raises more questions on why they changed Law to Novox. Is it implied her name is Law? Is it now Novox? What even is Novox? All I find is a pet medicine when I look it up. Interestingly, Novox appeared on the ritual support spell card Sprite's Blessing, which can summon any light ritual monster. She's just hanging out with Petite Angel and friends, though this card came out 16 years after Novox's Prayer, so someone at Konami was like, let's bring back this card out of nowhere. Skull Guardian is a light ritual monster, so it does make sense why Novox was chosen, but still, they could have given us a little insight on Novox's backstory here. Just have Skull Guardian courageously standing behind Novox in this scene, and boom, instant backstory. Here are a few honorable mentions. Performance of Sword. She was one of 3 common ritual monsters from Magic Ruler, and probably the most normal of the 3. She's a warrior dancer doing sort of a multi-form technique.
She's a pretty lady. I dig the pink and the green.
I don't see her carrying swords, I see her carrying wrist blades. That's a hell of a performance, because I don't see the sword in there, I'll tell you that much.
Next up, Garma Sword.
That seems like an excessive amount of swords. They're mine. What's he gonna do with all of those swords?
Stab 6 people simultaneously?
I was going to say fillet a fish, but yours is much more violent.
He's like General Grievous. Instead of lightsabers, he's old school. He likes actual swords.
You summon him with Garma Sword Oath, where there appear to be different hands than what's on the monster card.
You know, this makes sense. You're basically taking 3 swords and making 6 swords. Granted, you gotta get him back from Garma, who's now trying to stab you 6 times, but like, it's a money-making venture. This is what I would do. You just double your swords, you don't need a blacksmith, and like, you know, you're gonna lose the eventual employee, but that's why you have health insurance.
And finally, Super War Lion.
Oh man, that guy doesn't have a 6-pack, he has like a 12-pack, and is honestly uncomfortably naked.
And you summon him with War Lion Ritual.
Okay, it no longer makes sense. I don't know what's happening here. There's a dog and an orange blur with a face in it, and that becomes a naked man. Alright then.
Why does that look like the nine-tailed fox from Naruto?
For number 1, we went with a ritual that was different from the others discussed, and technically more viable. With each entry being about a standard beat stick and funky artwork, we chose a card that caused us to ask different questions. Number 1, Elemental Mistress Doriado.
Doritos.
This card was made when ritual monsters were regularly getting effects but could still only be summoned with their exclusive spell cards, so we had not outgrown the old ritual system yet, but they were getting better. Elemental Mistress Doriado was not a monster meant for her stats, but rather for her unique effect, being that her attribute was always treated as water, earth, wind, and fire.
What is this, a band?
Nothing is wrong with the effect or even making this card a ritual. You could say it's the appearance that makes me consider it quote-unquote weird, but only because if you look closely at her, we've seen her before, and no one makes a big deal out of it.
She's just a lady with a hat. I like this. She's very calm. She makes me happy. She's not trying to cut me with her blade arms. I mean, you know, I question the hat. It's kind of big, and it seems like her hair is coming out of the hat. It just seems like a hassle.
Well, the important thing is, this is a retrain of a seemingly random card, Doriado, otherwise known as Dryad in Japanese. Now, I love when old effectless cards get a viable upgrade, and we even saw it earlier on this list with Citadel Whale, but that upgrade came in 2017 when it was more common to see old cards get this kind of treatment. Elemental Mistress Doriado, though, came out in 2005 when we barely saw this for lesser known cards. At this time in the game's life, they usually saved retrains for cards that had prominence in the anime, like Battle Ox or Celtic Guardian, or ones that had a reputation in the card game, like Skull Servant. While I can't confirm it, she feels like the first normal monster that wasn't in the anime or a notable inside joke that got such a handy upgrade, and in ritual form no less, so we get a mini visual backstory with her ritual spell card.
Why is she so beautiful?
This is not weird in a bad way, it was just weird in how different it was for the time, but I think it worked out, setting the stage for other minor cards to get modern upgrades. However, one other thing that made picking Doriado to get such an upgrade that was strange to me is she was never released in the West, so the Easter egg of this monster's new form was lost upon TCG players. To make things more confusing, we did get the original Doriado's counterpart, Lady of Faith, in one of the early sets, so players who recognize the clothing may have thought Lady of Faith's name is Doriado, and now she's an elemental mistress for some reason. But no, they're just palette swap counterparts.
Oh, are they all a family?
As we learned on the weird counterpart list, they never explain how palette swap monsters like this are related.
Let's give them a backstory. Oh, another video.
Actually, we don't need to make one up since they kind of give her a subtle backstory. We see on the ritual spell Doriado's Blessing, the original Doriado is possibly in a ceremony that upgrades her to becoming the elemental mistress.
Oh my god, it's just a different... It's not even a different hat, it's just a different color. The trim is different. It's just red. This isn't a ritual so much as just putting on a different hat.
Well, no, she had fairies on the spell card too that disappeared on the monster card.
Well, yeah, but like, she loses the fairies for the hat. Oh my god, is that how the hat became red? With the blood of the fairies?
She has fairies and everything. What is she, a priestess?
Funny that you mentioned that. Her counterpart, Lady of Faith's Japanese name is High Priestess, so she's the priestess while Doriado is simply a dryad. But what makes me think that there's a backstory here based around these two cards is after Doriado upgraded, Lady of Faith received a dark upgraded form called Shadow Priestess of Ohm.
Oh, she turned into evil Bakura. Still sexy as hell, though. Oh no, she lost her star.
You don't get a star when you're evil.
Bakura, go find her star.
At first, I thought this was supposed to be an evil Doriano, but the priestess in the name makes it clear that it's a Dark Lady of Faith. Interestingly, there is a Dark Doriano card, and it came out after Shadow Priestess, possibly implying that these monsters are related. Perhaps Doriano thought the only way she could stop her sister, or whatever Lady of Faith is to her, from succumbing to evil was to attempt to harness the dark power herself.
Look at those curves. Curves for days.
Though after Dark Doriano, we saw an even more upgraded form, Elemental Grace Doriano, released 2 years later, possibly implying Doriano realized the darkness was the wrong way to go, and she had to harness pure light instead to defeat the Shadow Priestess. But that's all just speculation on my part. Give us a few more spells or traps with these monsters on the artwork, and I could piece together something more official. Despite not being as weird looking as some of the other entries, the fact that one ritual card caused me to speculate so much makes me feel it deserves the top spot. Now, what did you think? Did you enjoy everything we spoke about? Were there a few other Yu-Gi-Oh! Rituals that strike you as strange? Want to just talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! In general? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.